There is a person you have met at least once in your life who quietly confused you. Not the loudest one in the room, not the one with the best job, the biggest house, or the perfect life arranged carefully on a screen. Someone quieter than that. Someone who walked into a bad day, and somehow the bad day did not stick to them. Traffic did not own them. A rude stranger did not follow them home. They had losses. They had grief. They had the same broken world you have, and still, there was something steady in them. Something warm, something unbothered in a way that did not feel like pretending. And a part of you wondered what they knew that you didn't. The Stoics answered this question 2,000 years ago, and their answer has never been popular because it is not exciting. Happiness is not an event. It is not an arrival. It is not a moment that happens to you when the conditions finally line up. Happiness is an accumulation. It is the residue of small repeated actions, most of which nobody sees. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth. He buried children. He fought wars on frozen borders. He was surrounded by people who wanted his throne and his death. And in his private journal, never meant for our eyes, he wrote this: "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Very little is needed." Read that again slowly, because it contradicts everything you have been sold. You have been taught that happiness is expensive, that it requires more money, more time, more freedom, more recognition, a different body, a different city, a different life. The Stoics said the opposite. They said happiness is cheap and difficult. Cheap because it costs nothing to obtain. Difficult because it must be practiced daily, and most people would rather chase something dramatic than repeat something small. Think about a river cutting through stone. It does not do it with force. It does not arrive one afternoon and shatter the rock. It arrives every day, quietly, without announcement, and it keeps arriving for 10,000 years until the canyon exists. Nobody watched it happen. That is exactly the point. Your peace is built the same way. Not in one enormous decision, in 9 small ones, repeated until they stop being decisions and start being who you are. These are 9 habits practiced by emperors, exiles and slaves who refused to let the world dictate their inner weather. Each one takes less than 5 minutes. Each one costs nothing. And together they build something almost nobody has anymore, a mind that does not need permission to be at peace. If you are new here, welcome to Stoic Letters. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach someone who needs it today. Subscribe, because we are building a community of people who refuse to live reactively. And do not skip any part of this video. Habit number 9 is the one that holds the other 8 together. If you are ready to build your peace instead of waiting for it, type this in the comments right now. I build my peace daily. Let's begin. No. 1. They decide their first thought before the world decides it. For them, your eyes open. And in that first thin slice of consciousness, before the day has made a single demand of you, something happens that will shape the next 16 hours. You think a thought. Most people never notice it because it arrives so fast and feels so automatic. But watch it tomorrow. For most people, it is one of 3 things. It is a problem waiting at work. It is a replay of something someone said, or it is the phone reached for in the dark, and suddenly your first act of the day is absorbing the emergencies, opinions, and anxieties of strangers. That is not a small thing. That is the whole thing. The happiest people know this instinctively, so they claim that first thought before the world can install one for them. Marcus Aurelius did it in writing. Those famous meditations we quote today were not evening reflections written by candlelight for posterity. Many of them were morning preparations. He was talking to himself before the empire could talk to him first, reminding himself who he was, what he valued, and how he intended to meet whatever the day brought. He was not being poetic. He was defending territory. Think of your mind at dawn as an empty room with an open door. Whoever walks in first gets to arrange the furniture. If anxiety walks in first, everything gets arranged around threat. If gratitude walks in first, everything gets arranged around sufficiency. You do not get to control who knocks all day long. You absolutely control who enters first. Here is what this looks like in real life. Your alarm goes off. Your hand moves toward the phone out of pure habit, the way it has 10,000 times. But today you stop. You put your feet on the floor instead. You sit on the edge of the bed for 60 seconds. And you say one sentence to yourself, out loud if you can, silently if you cannot. Today I meet whatever comes with a steady mind. That is it. No incense. No hour of meditation. No app. One sentence chosen by you, spoken before the world speaks. Most people wake up and immediately begin defending. They are behind from the first minute, reacting to a day that started without them. You are not going to do that anymore. You are going to arrive first, because the first thought of your day is the only one you get to choose with a completely clear mind. Every thought after that is negotiating with something. Do not surrender the only free choice you get. If you are claiming your mornings back, drop this below. My first thought is mine. No. 2. They sort every problem. Into 2 piles here is something strange about human suffering. Most of it is not caused by problems. It is caused by confusion about which problems are actually yours. You lie awake at 2 in the morning. Your mind is churning. And if you actually catalogued what it was churning on, you would find something almost comic. You are worrying about whether someone liked you, whether a decision made 3 years ago was correct, whether the economy will hold, whether a person you love will finally change, whether a stranger misread your tone. Not one of those things is in your hands, and your body is producing stress hormones for all of them as if they were Epictetus, who was born a slave and had every reason to be bitter, built his entire philosophy on one sorting mechanism. Some things are within our power, he taught, and some things are not. Within our power are our judgments, our intentions, our efforts, our responses. Outside our power is essentially everything else. Other people, outcomes, the past, the future, reputation, weather, timing. He said, if you confuse the two, you will live your whole life obstructed, anxious, and blaming. If you separate them cleanly, no one can force you into anything, and no one can prevent you from anything, and you will have no enemies. Because nothing anyone does can reach the part of you that matters. The happiest people do this sorting daily, not as a philosophy, as a hygiene practice. Here is what this looks like in real life. Something is sitting on your chest. Instead of thinking about it in circles, you take out a piece of paper and draw a single line down the middle. On the left, you write everything about this situation you can actually influence. On the right, you write everything you cannot. The left column is almost always shorter than you expect, and it is almost always more actionable than you feared. Then you do something disciplined. You look at the right column and you release it. Not with fake serenity. With a decision, you say, this is not my department. And every time your mind drags it back in, and it will, you repeat the sentence like a bouncer at a door. Not my department. What happens over weeks of this is remarkable. Your capacity does not increase. Your load decreases. You had been carrying 2 jobs, yours and the universe's, and you just quit the second one. That is not resignation. Resignation is giving up on what you can change. This is the opposite. It is finally having enough energy left to do what you can change, because you stopped bleeding it into what you can't. If you are ready to put something down today, comment this: not my department. Number 3, they want what they already have. There is a specific kind of poverty that has nothing to do with money. It is the man with a good life who cannot feel it. The woman with a loving partner who is scanning for a better one. The person who finally got the thing they spent 4 years wanting and enjoyed it for about 9 days before it became the new baseline and the wanting moved somewhere else. Seneca, who was one of the wealthiest men in Rome and therefore knew exactly what money could and could not buy, wrote it plainly. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. You can be surrounded by everything you once prayed for and still be starving, because craving is not a quantity problem. It is a direction problem. Craving always points forward, and forward never arrives. The happiest people reverse the direction, not by wanting less, which is what people usually think Stoicism means, by wanting what is already in the room. And there is a technique for this that sounds dark until you try it. The Stoics called it negative visualization. You take something you have completely stopped seeing, and you imagine gently and briefly that it is gone. Imagine your morning coffee is the last one. Imagine the person asleep next to you was not there. Imagine your legs did not work. Imagine this ordinary Tuesday, this boring, unremarkable Tuesday, was the one you would give 10 years to have back. Do not sit in it. 10 seconds is enough. Then open your eyes, and there it is. The same coffee, the same person, the same Tuesday, except now you can see it. That is the trick. Nothing about your life changed. Your perception was simply cleaned. The way you clean a window you did not realize was dirty until light came through it properly. Here is what this looks like in real life. You are eating dinner. Ordinary food, ordinary evening, mind already 3 hours ahead into tomorrow. You stop. You put the fork down. And for 10 seconds you consider that there was a version of your life where this exact evening did not happen. Then you pick the fork back up and the food tastes different. Not because it changed, because you arrived. Gratitude is not a mood. It is an act of attention. And attention is a muscle that has been systematically weakened by an economy that profits from your dissatisfaction. This habit is how you fight back. 10 seconds, once a day. Look at what you already have as though it could be taken. Because it can be, and one day it will be. If this landed, type it below. I see what I already have. No. 4. They do one hard thing on purpose every single day. You are offered a choice between the easier path and the harder one. And the modern world has become extraordinarily good at making sure you never have to choose the harder one by accident. You can be warm, fed, entertained, and comfortable without ever meeting resistance. And that sounds like paradise until you understand what happens to a human being who never meets resistance. They get fragile, not weak. Fragile. There is a difference. Weakness is a lack of strength. Fragility is a lack of tolerance. A fragile person may be perfectly capable, but the smallest friction feels catastrophic, because their nervous system has no recent evidence that discomfort is survivable. The Stoics understood this so well that they scheduled hardship deliberately. Seneca advised setting aside days to eat the simplest food, wear the roughest clothes, and sleep on the hardest surface. And then to ask yourself, honestly, is this what I was so afraid of? Not to punish himself, to collect evidence. Because here is the thing about fear. Fear is almost always about an imagined future, and imagination is a terrible forecaster. Seneca said we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, and he was not being poetic. Your mind will build an elaborate horror out of a mild inconvenience if you never test it. Voluntary discomfort is how you test it. Here is what this looks like in real life. You do not need to sleep on a floor. You take the last 30 seconds of your shower cold. You take the stairs when the elevator is right there. You put your phone in another room while you eat. You say the awkward true sentence instead of the smooth false one. You do the task you have been avoiding first, before you have negotiated yourself out of it. One hard thing, chosen by you, every day, and what you are building is not toughness. It is a specific and enormously valuable belief. I can do things I do not feel like doing. That belief is the foundation of every good life. Because almost everything worth having sits on the other side of something you did not feel like doing. Health sits behind workouts you did not want. Skill sits behind practice that was boring. Honest relationships sit behind conversations that made your heart pound. People who cannot do hard things they do not feel like doing are not lazy. They are hostages. They are being governed by a mood that shifts hourly and cares nothing about their future. Epictetus said no man is free who is not master of himself. He would know. He spent his early life legally owned by another person, and he understood that the crueler slavery is the one where the master lives inside your own skull, telling you what you are and are not willing to feel today. So do one hard thing on purpose. Not because suffering is virtuous, because every time you do, you take a little more territory back from the part of you that only wants to be comfortable. Prove it to yourself in the comments. I do hard things on purpose. No. 5. They guard the door of their attention. You have been told your time is your most valuable resource. That is not quite true. Your attention is. Because attention is what time is made of. An hour you were fully present for and an hour you spent scrolling in a fog are not the same hour. One of them you lived, the other one simply elapsed. And right now, some of the most sophisticated engineering in human history is aimed directly at that resource. Not at your wallet, at your attention, which is upstream of your wallet, your mood, your relationships, and your self-image. The happiest people are not the ones with the most discipline about screens. They are the ones who understand what is actually being taken. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Now think about where your thoughts come from. They are not spontaneous. They are assembled from material. And that material is whatever you have been feeding your mind. You cannot consume outrage all day and then wonder why you feel adversarial. You cannot consume comparison all day and then wonder why your life feels insufficient. You cannot consume catastrophe all day and then wonder why your body feels braced for impact. Your mind is not a container. It is a compost heap. Whatever you put in it becomes the soil that everything else grows out of. Here is what this looks like in real life. You are not going to delete everything and move to a mountain. You are going to install one rule. Nothing enters your mind in the first 30 minutes of the day, and nothing enters your mind in the last 30 minutes of the night. Unless you chose it deliberately, those two windows are when your mind is most porous. In the morning it is unguarded and open. At night it is tired and defenseless. And whatever you feed it, there is what it will process for 8 hours while you sleep. And then during the day, one more question. Every time you reach for something to consume, ask, is this making me a better version of the person I am trying to be? Or is it just filling a silence I did not want to sit in? That question is uncomfortable because the honest answer is usually the second one. We do not scroll because we are interested. We scroll because we are avoiding a feeling, and the scroll is the fastest available exit. So guard the door. Not because attention is precious in some abstract way, because your attention is literally what your life is made of, and you are handing enormous quantities of it to people who have never met you and do not care what becomes of you. Take it back. Comment this if you are done leaking. I guard what enters my mind. Number 6. They put a gap between the spark and the fire. Something happens. Someone says the thing. The tone lands wrong. The message arrives with an edge on it. And in that instant, before any thinking occurs at all, your body has already made a decision. Your jaw tightens. Your chest heats up. Sentences begin assembling themselves in your head, sharp and satisfying and ready. This is where most people lose their peace. Not in the big tragedies. In these small hot moments, dozens of times a week, where a reaction gets fired off in under 2 seconds and then has to be lived with for years. Marcus Aurelius asked a question that should be printed on the inside of everyone's eyelids. How much more grievous, he wrote, are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Sit with that. Almost every time you have been angry in your life, the damage from your anger has been larger than the damage from the thing that caused it. The colleague's comment lasted 4 seconds. Your reply lasted 4 years in that relationship. The happiest people are not calmer by nature. Many of them are intensely feeling people. What they have is a gap between the spark and the fire, between what happens and what they do about it. And in that gap, small as it is, lives everything the Stoics ever taught. Epictetus put it perfectly: it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. But reaction is not a single event. It is a chain: stimulus, then interpretation, then emotion, then behavior. Most people experience it as instantaneous. It is not. There are joints in that chain, and you can get a crowbar into them. Here is what this looks like in real life. The message arrives. Your body ignites. And instead of typing, you do exactly 3 things. You breathe out, slowly, longer than you breathed in. You put the phone face down, and you ask one question: what would I want to have done here 1 week from now? That's the whole practice. 10 seconds, and what you will discover is startling. Roughly 80% of what feels urgent in that moment is not urgent at all. It just felt urgent. Because emotion always presents itself as an emergency to make sure it gets acted on immediately before the slower, wiser part of you gets a vote. Delay is how you give that part a vote. You are not suppressing anything. Stoicism is not swallowing your feelings and pretending to be a statue. Anger is information. It usually means a boundary was crossed or a value was violated, and that is worth knowing. You are simply refusing to let information make your decisions for you. Feel it fully. Act on it slowly, because a reaction takes 2 seconds and a response takes 10. And the difference between those 8 seconds is the difference between a life you are constantly repairing and a life you are actually building. If you are done reacting, type this below: I respond. I do not react. No. 7. They give something away. Every day without keeping score. Here is something the modern happiness industry almost never tells you, because it cannot be sold. The fastest reliable way out of your own suffering is to be useful to someone else, not as a moral instruction, as a mechanism. When you are trapped inside your own head, spiraling on a problem, replaying a conversation, cataloging everything wrong with your circumstances, the trap is not the problem itself. The trap is that your attention has collapsed inward and is running in a very tight circle. Doing something genuinely for another person breaks the circle, not because it solves your problem, because it moves the camera. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that human beings exist for one another. He wrote that what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee, and this from a man surrounded by people actively plotting against him. But there is a specific rule here that makes the difference between this habit working and this habit poisoning you. You give, and you do not keep score, because the moment you start counting, giving becomes an investment, and investments create expectations, and expectations create resentment. You have felt this. You did the thing, and they did not notice, and something soured, and now the good deed is sitting in you like a stone. That is not generosity. That is an unspoken invoice. Marcus wrote about 3 types of people: the one who does a good deed and immediately demands repayment, the one who does not demand it but privately keeps the ledger, remembering they are owed, and the third, who does the good thing and moves on the way a vine produces grapes and asks nothing further, having done what it was made to do. Be the vine. Here is what this looks like in real life. It is smaller than you think. It is not charity. It is not a life of service. You send the message telling someone specifically what you admire about them. You let the car in. You leave the tip that is slightly too generous. You actually listen to the whole story without waiting for your turn. You give the credit away in the meeting when you could easily have kept it. One thing every day, given cleanly, with no receipt. There is also a harder truth here. Loneliness is not usually a lack of people. It is a lack of mattering. You can be surrounded and still feel like the room would function identically without you. Giving is how you dissolve that. Not by being needed, by being genuinely, quietly useful over and over, until you have hard evidence that your existence has weight in other people's lives. That evidence is worth more than any affirmation you will ever repeat in a mirror. If you are giving without a receipt this week, comment, "I give without keeping score." Number 8, they close the day. Honestly, almost everyone knows about morning routines. Almost nobody talks about the other end of the day, and the other end is where the real work happens, because a day that is not reviewed is a day that teaches you nothing. You lived it, you survived it, and it evaporated. Do that for 30 years, and you do not get 30 years of experience. You get 1 year, repeated 30 times, with slightly worse knees. Seneca described his own practice with a kind of unglamorous precision. When the light was out and his household had gone quiet, he would go back over the whole day, every word, every action. He hid nothing from himself and excused nothing. And he said, "Why should I fear any of my mistakes, when I can say to myself, see that you do not do it again? And today I forgive you." Look at those two halves, because both are necessary and most people can only manage one. See that you do not do it again. That is the accountability. Today I forgive you. That is the release. People who only do the first half destroy themselves slowly. They review their day looking for evidence of failure, find it, and use it as a weapon. That is not reflection, that is prosecution. And a person who prosecutes themselves nightly does not improve. They just get quieter and more afraid to try things. People who only do the second half never change. They forgive everything, examine nothing, and repeat the same mistakes for decades while wondering why life feels stuck. The habit is both honesty and mercy in the same 5 minutes. Here is what this looks like in real life. Before you sleep, phone already in the other room, you ask 3 questions. Where did I act from my values today? Where did I act from fear or ego? What is the one thing I will do differently tomorrow? Write them down. Writing forces specificity, and specificity is where the learning lives. And then, when you have found something you are not proud of, and you will, you finish with the sentence Seneca finished with. See that you do not do it again. Today, I forgive you. This closes the day. It puts a lid on it. Most people carry every unexamined day forward into the next one, which is why by Thursday they are exhausted for reasons they cannot name. Closing the day honestly means tomorrow starts light, and over months, something else happens. Patterns surface. You start seeing the same trigger, the same reaction, the same excuse, appearing again and again in your own handwriting. And a pattern you can see clearly is a pattern you can finally dismantle. You cannot change what you refuse to look at. And you cannot look at it if you are terrified of what you will find. So look honestly, and then forgive completely. Both. Every night. If you are closing your days properly from now on, type this: honest with myself, gentle with myself. No. 9, they remember that it ends. We arrive at the last habit, and it is the one that gives the other 8 their weight. The happiest people, the genuinely happy ones, not the performing ones, share a quality that sounds like a contradiction until you understand it. They think about death, regularly, calmly, on purpose. The Stoics called it memento mori. Remember that you will die. And modern people flinch from it because we have built an entire civilization dedicated to pretending this is not happening. We hide the dying. We hide the aging. We speak about it in soft euphemisms. And in exchange for that comfort, we have lost something enormous. We have lost urgency. And urgency, correctly used, is the same thing as appreciation. Marcus Aurelius wrote a line that should stop anybody cold. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not tomorrow. Not eventually. Right now. in the middle of this ordinary sentence on this ordinary day, he was not being morbid. He was being accurate. And accuracy, it turns out, is medicine, because here is what happens when you genuinely accept that this ends. The small things get smaller and the big things get bigger. The argument you are going to have does not seem worth the afternoon. The grudge you have been maintaining for 11 months looks suddenly absurd, an enormous amount of energy spent guarding a wound nobody else remembers giving you. The message you have been meaning to send for 2 years gets sent today, because there is no infinite supply of todays. Seneca said it more sharply than anyone. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Most people are not using their life. They are postponing it, always preparing to begin living at some point, once conditions improve. He also wrote a sentence worth building a whole life around. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life, each day as a separate life, meaning it has a birth and a death, meaning it is complete in itself, meaning it does not exist to be a stepping stone towards some future day when everything is finally in place. Here is what this looks like in real life, and it takes about 20 seconds. Once a day, usually in the evening, you let yourself acknowledge one simple fact, that this day is now gone permanently and you will not get it back, that the number of days remaining is finite and unknown, and today was one of them. Do not spiral. Do not dramatize. Just look at it, the way you would look at a horizon, and then let it inform one decision. Call the person. Say the thing. Leave the job. Forgive the relative. Stop waiting, because everything in the previous 8 habits assumes you have time to build a life. This one reminds you that the building is the life. There is no completed version of you arriving later to enjoy the results. There is only this, done well or done badly today. The people who understand this are unmistakable. They are not frantic, they are present. They are not chasing, they are choosing. They can sit in a room and actually be in the room. That is the whole secret. Not that life is short, that it is finite, and finite things are precious, and precious things are handled with attention. If this is the one that reached you, comment below. This day is not guaranteed. Closing, so let us bring it home. Habit 1. Decide your first thought before the world decides it for you. Habit 2. Sort every problem into what is yours and what is not, and put down what is not. Habit 3. Want what you already have by imagining it gone for 10 seconds. Habit 4. Do one hard thing on purpose to prove you are not governed by your moods. Habit 5. Guard the door of your attention, especially the first and last 30 minutes of your day. Habit 6. Put a gap between the spark and the fire. Habit 7. Give something away every day and keep no score. Habit 8. Close your day with honesty and mercy in the same breath. Habit 9. Remember that it ends, and let that make everything else clearer. 9 habits. None of them cost money. None of them take longer than 5 minutes. Not one requires anybody's permission or a single change in your circumstances, and that is precisely why most people will not do them, because we have been trained to believe that a transformed life requires a transformed situation, new job, new city, new body, new relationship, something external and dramatic that finally makes the inside feel right. The Stoics tested that theory across 400 years, from slaves to emperors, and every one of them reached the same conclusion. The situation was never the variable. The practice was. Marcus Aurelius, at the height of the most powerful position on earth, wrote to himself, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is the entire instruction. Not learn it, not understand it, not agree with it. Be it in small repeated actions, starting tomorrow morning, in the first 60 seconds after your eyes open. You are not going to do all 9 perfectly. Nobody does. The Stoics were never about perfection. They were about return, about stumbling and coming back one more time than you fell. So do not try to install all 9 tomorrow. Choose one. The one that made something tighten in your chest while you were listening, because that is usually the one you already know you need. Do that single habit for 7 days. Then add another. That is how a canyon gets carved, not with force. With returning, you already have everything required. A mind that can choose, a day that is here, and a small, unglamorous, deeply powerful decision available to you every single morning, which is simply this: today I will build my peace instead of waiting for it. If this reached something in you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this find the next person who needs it. Share it with someone you know is carrying too much right now. And subscribe to Stoic Letters, because we are building a community of people who refuse to live at the mercy of their circumstances. Now tell me in the comments which of the 9 habits you are starting with. Number 1, number 6, number 9. I read every single one, and your answer tells me exactly what to write next. Seal it below with your commitment. I am building a life I do not need to escape from.